Hi, and welcome to another episode of Healthy Living Resources. I'm Amy Meehan, and today we're going to be talking about self-care for the caregiver with our guest Roseanne, so stay tuned. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Healthy Living Resources. I'm Amy Meehan, the Healthy People Program Specialist with Family and Consumer Sciences at Ohio State University Extension. And today I have with me Roseanne and Rae to talk about self-care for the caregiver. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Rae to get us started.
Thanks, Amy. I'm Rae Baker, as Amy stated. I'm the Healthy Relationships Program Specialist with OSU Extension. And our topic today will be focusing on caregiver burnout and strategies that we can use to help decrease and manage burnout. And to share some helpful approaches on this topic, we have Roseanne Scammahorn with us. She's one of our OSU Extension educators. Welcome, Roseanne. And before we get started, could you take a little time to introduce yourself to the viewers and share it is what you do with OSU Extension?
Sure. Thank you, Rae. So I'm Dr. Roseanne Scammahorn. I'm a nationally certified counselor, and I'm the Family and Consumer Science educator for Darke County with OSU Extension. Been with Extension for about 4 years. Prior to that, I was at Mississippi State University Extension, working in regards to mental health and healthy finances. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about self-care for the caregiver. So do you ever find yourself feeling guilty about not doing enough as a caregiver? Do you ever feel angry or resentful towards family or friends for not assisting you more in your caregiving responsibilities? Do you ever find yourself feeling irritable or strained because of the stresses of caregiving? Often as a caregiver, we have these self-imposed expectations pressuring us to feel that we should be able to do and handle every situation that we encounter with little or no support or assistance from others. There is this tremendous pressure to be able to do it all, such as taking care of our kids and our aging parents while maintaining a wonderful career and our home. Instead of having a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day, we tend to feel guilty when we run out of our energy and we don't have enough left of us to be able to handle all of our tasks. So it's really easy to become immersed in caring for your loved one that, you begin to neglect your own physical, mental, and emotional health. So caregiver burnout can happen when help from others is not available or it's not sought out. It can also occur if the caregiver takes on more than we have the time, the financial resources, or the energy to handle. So as caregivers, it's important that we take care of ourselves so that we're able to take care of those we love. And the first thing we need to do is recognize the signs of what caregiver burnout is. That's the most important so that you can take time to care for yourself. As you begin to recognize some of these signs of burnout, you need to take steps to get your life back into a balance. This is the point at which you must communicate your feelings with your friends and family or seek professional help from a healthcare provider. The Central Ohio Agency on Aging lists these common signs for caregiver burnout. The first one is feeling a roller coaster of emotions, extreme highs and extreme lows throughout the day, multiple times. Becoming irritated over every little thing. Things that usually you don't even notice now cause you to become enraged. Withdrawing from your friends, your family, and other loved ones, creating that self-imposed isolation. Experiencing changes in your sleep patterns, either sleeping too much or not enough. The average person needs about 7 hours of sleep. The caregiver, on average, has about 3 to 4 hours of sleep. So keep that in mind when you think about your sleep patterns. Another one that we look for is having difficulty thinking about how to get through the day. You're just so overwhelmed, you don't know how to get from one task to the next. Being unable to concentrate, not being able to focus and draw your attention to where it needs to be when it needs to be there. Experiencing changes in your appetite, in your weight, or even both. So stress eating or denying yourself nutrition because of your stress and anxiety. A constant feeling of being overwhelmed or anxious. This is mostly what folks can refer to as kind of being a worrier. So worrying about what wasn't done, what needs to be done, and what could possibly need to be done in the future, and not being able to let go of those repetitive thoughts. And then using alcohol, medications, or sleeping pills to an excessive degree to help you cope through the stressors and strains of being a caregiver, and especially on the rougher days. So, what do you need to do? First and foremost, take care of you. Just like if you've ever been in a plane and they talk about the mask falling from the ceiling when the cabin depressurizes, the first thing you're supposed to do is put the mask on yourself. So then you are capable to assist others who are having difficulties. So number one priority is you and will always be you. So take care of your own health. You've got to be able to take care of your health and be in your, fighting shape here. So that way you can be able to take care of your loved one to the best of your capacity.
So what are some ways that individuals, caretaker or caregivers can take care of their own health? What are some examples of that?
Things like eating healthy foods, making sure you get enough rest and enough sleep, exercising and getting up and moving regularly, finding ways to relax, whatever that may be for you, practicing good hygiene. It's amazing what happens to your outlook in your day if you can just get up, get dressed, brush your teeth, comb your hair, and then making sure that you yourself are going out for your regular medical checkups. And being proactive in making sure that your health is at top peak. We usually, as a caregiver, we tend to make sure that our loved ones always getting to their doctor's appointments, but we neglect our own. So those are some really good ways to make sure that you're taking care of your own health. And just remember that self-care is not a luxury. It's not a waste of your time. It is a necessity. Mm-hmm. The other thing that you can look into is with self-care is committing to healthy boundaries. So knowing when you need to say no, when you know that you are feeling drained or overly stressed or overly taxed, and knowing yourself and being able to ask for help. Those are great ways that you can take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. Another thing we're going to look for is signs of depressions. So do not delay getting professional help when you need it. There is nothing wrong with seeking out assistance. Signs of depression, consistent feelings of sadness, overwhelming feelings of hopelessness or pessimism, your changes in your appetite and sleeping patterns, and having extreme difficulty in concentrating. And this is happening over a prolonged period of time. Make sure you also seek support from other caregivers. So consider attending other support groups for either disease-specific caregiving, or you can go to ones that are just general caregiving, or add both. Support groups do an amazing thing, and there's a lot of benefits to being a caregiver and being a part of a support network. There's educational opportunities. It helps you to feel less lonely, isolated. It decreases the amount of judgment that we inflict upon ourselves. It also gives us the opportunity to talk openly and honestly about our feelings, about our frustrations, and just helps us cope with those daily challenges and let us know that we're not alone in all of this.
So Roseanne, how does someone find support from other caregivers in their local area? Where would they go? Where would they reach out to find this information and get connected to other caregivers?
Perfect. So you can, one, seek advice from your local physician. So your primary care physician, they would be a great resource to know of local support groups. Go out to specifically health-related websites. So if you have an individual who has heart issues, so go out to the American Heart Association. But my personal favorite one is the Area Agency on Aging. Each of us have a regional office with the Area Agency on Aging, and they are a plethora of resources. They know everybody about everything. So they can get you connected with like the Goodwill Easter seals, specific religious organizations, support groups, and then of course your hospital affiliated ones. So those would be
Nice.
where the best places to go.
So the Area Agency on Aging, how would someone find that contact information? Would they go online? Is there a website address?
So each one has, they're called PSAs. So each region has a different address. So if you go out to just Google and you Google Area Agency on Aging and then type in your county, it'll tell you which regional office that you're located with. That's probably the easiest way.
Okay.
Again, the other way would be to talk to your primary care physician. They may have a specific person that you can contact at your local Area Agency on Aging. You can also reach out to Community Action Partnerships. We call that CAP in Darke County. So you can speak to them. They can also help you get in contact with a specific person at the larger agencies. So that way you're not being shuffled around trying to find the information that you may need. The other thing that we need to talk about with taking care of yourself is to take respite breaks. So what respite is respite care is a short-term assistance by an outside provider that allows you time to rest. So you can seek out things at like adult daycares type service centers, health service centers, and they're usually located in what they call the care center. So when you reach out to these organizations, ask about their care center, and that usually can get you to the respite professionals that you're seeking. This type of service helps provide you the time that you need to go and take care of yourself, whether that's just getting to the grocery store or going to a doctor's appointment, going to the salon, or just going back to your room and reading a book for a few minutes. The other thing that it provides is a great way to provide social contact, leisure, therapeutic activities, things of that nature for the person that you loved. So it's not always just you and the person that you're caring for. These type of respite cares sometimes are outside of the home. And so they will even provide transportation and meals for your loved one. So that way you can be freer to leave for a longer period of time should you have to travel to a doctor's appointment or need an entire day to have somebody come in and help. So respite care is one of those great resources that is underutilized when it comes to using it for self-care for your caregivers.
What if a caregiver wanted to go on a vacation? What's the duration of respite care that's typically provided? Is there a maximum or a minimum amount of time if you utilize those respite care services?
So respite care services will fall into two categories. Like you said, a short-term one would be a day stay. So they come in, it's kind of like going to work for the day. So they would go there for the day, or the healthcare professional would come to your home for just a daytime, an 8-hour shift or so. Now, longer-term care, that is going to fall into not necessarily a respite care type of situation, but that would get more involved in regards to seeking out short-term medical care by a licensed professional that would come into your home, especially if the individual needed to have assistance overnight. So that would be something that you would have to hire out, and that would be something that you would have to go through most likely your health insurance to see if that would be something that would be covered. Respite care doesn't have to be, though, an outside organization. Respite care can be provided by a family member or a friend. So like you said, if you're wanting to go away for the weekend or a vacation,
right?
It doesn't have to be a local organization that you're reaching out to that hires specific people to provide the service. It could be you organizing some friends and family members, some neighbors that will come over and take shifts to assist your loved one while you need to be gone for a longer period of time.
Right. And not being afraid or concerned to ask for help, because I know a lot of caregivers have trouble with that guilt that it's hard for them to ask for help sometimes. Oh, there you go.
That's perfect. So our next one is to make sure
nice
that
segue.
It is. So to accept or offer help. So a lot of times people will go, "What can I do?" And you don't know what to say to them. Right. So when somebody offers to help, your answer is yes, please, or yes, and like we do in improv.
Right.
And so with that, accepting outside help, it doesn't have to be anything monumental. It could be something specifics such as, could you please go pick up some groceries, or could you drive my loved one to their doctor's appointment or to the YMCA for their water aerobics? So, don't be afraid to accept help from others. It allows you to give yourself a health break and to recharge your own batteries. And then your loved one also significantly benefits because they get to spend time with others. They get to interact socially. They get to kind of break up the monotony of it just being you and your loved one. The other thing is, people who innately love to serve, they're the ones who are asking, and they benefit from it because they feel that they're of service. They feel like they've been able to pitch in and contribute to the overall health and well-being of another person. And so they tend to get a lot of great satisfaction from being that person who's able to come in and help. So don't turn down help. The other thing that we talk about is learning how to communicate effectively with your doctors. So write down all of your questions or concerns prior to going to the doctor's office visit, because we know that they got a very short period of time that you get to actually see them. So write these things down to help you remember what needs to be addressed, and then share all that relevant information with your healthcare provider. And that way they have as much information as possible, so that way they can provide the best service and you can be the best caregiver possible. And then I love this one. Consider new technologies. There's so many new smart home devices that are remote controlled by your phone, by apps. You can set things up on timers. And this allows you to monitor things like the thermostat in the house, whether the stove got turned off, light usage in the house. There's even one that I really think is amazing, and it's a motion detector that you place under rugs, by bedsides, in front of their favorite chair, things of that nature, because it tells you how often is this person getting up and moving, because we should be getting up and moving about every 15 minutes, even if it's just to get up and do a nice little stretch break. But there's that little technology me like, whoa, they haven't gotten up in a couple hours. I probably should give them a call while I'm out and about to make sure everything's okay. And then we also got things like video and sound technology that can offer you like the peace of mind that you can check in with your loved ones when you're away from home. And if you haven't checked it out, Ohio State has a universal design homepage. So you can do a universal designed home. And the idea of it is that you're able to age in place with some minor modifications. So Google OSU extension, universal home tour. We've got some great videos and educational material out there that can help you help your loved one and decrease a little bit of that stress and anxiety for yourself. So our next topic that we're going to touch on is being organized. So a lot of the stressors outside of the day-to-day tasks of being a caregiver come from disorganization. Most of us probably have most of the information readily available that we use on a day-to-day basis, but we need to think bigger picture when we're a caregiver. So I'm going to give you a list of things that I'm going to read off to you. And I want you to check to see if you have these things in what I call a to-go kit. It's a central location where everything is put together nice and easy to find in a particular order. And you can literally grab that folder or grab that shoebox or whatever you're using to organize it in. And it's got all the pertinent information. So things that you need to have at your fingertips: the name of all of the physicians involved in your loved one's caregiving, all of the known allergies or reactions to medications, the list of all their over-the-counter medications, vitamins, herbal supplements, and prescription medications, a list of all their health conditions and the dates of those diagnoses, the date of most recent exams, tests, and immunizations. And if you have a copy of the exam results or test results, even better. The dates and reasons for any hospitalizations and how long that stay was for. The dates and the details of any major surgeries, along with the dates and the length of time that they had any major illnesses. Their history of smoking, tobacco use, or alcohol use. the location, if they have a living will or medical directives, if they have been ever exposed to any kind of dangerous condition or health hazard during their lifetime, a family history of illnesses or conditions of their parents and their siblings, and then the cause of death of their parents or siblings and the ages of those passings. These are just some basic things that you want, that in the moment of a stressful situation, you might be like, I know they had their appendix removed, but I don't remember who did it. I don't remember what hospital, and gosh, it was forever ago. So having these things written down, you can just pull them out, and then that decreases your stress and anxiety in a type of an emergency situation. And you will find that with routine office care, medical care, you will see that most of these you'll be able to input once, and then you might not need again. But it's great to have these things on hand in case of an emergency where your loved one has to be seen by somebody that they're not familiar with. And then we also want to talk a bit about making sure that your legal documents are in order. And there's 5 basic documents to have on hand. So I want you to check in your stash of paperwork. Do you have a power of attorney for this individual? And who is listed? Does it need to be updated? Do you have a durable power of attorney for health care for this individual? And does it need to be updated? A living will, or again, an advance directive for their health care preferences, we'll put it that way. A HIPAA authorization form. Seems like something so insignificant until you're not able to get the information that you need. So a HIPAA authorization form. And of course, their will and their living trust. And making sure that those items are up to date and accurate. So lastly, I just want to touch on a little bit of something called the Caregivers Bill of Rights. This was originally shared by Joe Horn in his 1985 book, Caregiving, Helping an Aging Loved One. And I love this because it outlines your rights, your rights that you have that we tend to forget about, such as the right to take care of yourself, the right to seek help, and the right to protect your individuality. These things that I'm going to read off to you, they seem so simple, but every time I share this list with groups, the response is so immense. It normalizes the struggles that caregivers tend to have, and it validates the guilt or other emotions that they may be feeling. The Caregiver's Bill of Rights serves as a really important reminder to us that it is okay, even encouraged, to pursue your personal interests, to take breaks, and to care for yourself in the same way that you are providing care to your loved one. So here is the Caregiver's Bill of Rights. I have the right to take care of myself. This is not an act of selfishness. It will give me the capacity to take better care of my relative. I have the right to seek help from others, even though my relative may object. I recognize the limits of my own endurance and strength. I have the right to maintain facets of my own life that do not include the person I care for, just as I would if they were a healthy individual. I know that I do everything I reasonably can for my loved one, and I have the right to do the same for myself. I have the right to be angry, to get depressed, and express other difficult emotions and feelings occasionally. I have the right to reject any attempt by my relative, either conscious or unconscious, to manipulate me through guilt, anger, or depression. I have the right to receive consideration, affection, forgiveness, and acceptance for what I do for my loved one, for as long as I offer these qualities in return to those that I care for. I have the right to take pride in what I'm accomplishing and to applaud the courage it has sometimes taken to meet the needs of that relative, that loved one. I have the right to protect my individuality and my right to make a life for myself that will sustain me in the time when my relative or my loved one is no longer in need of my full-time help. And I have the right to expect and demand that as new strides are being made in finding resources to aid physically and mentally impaired individuals, similar strides will be made towards aiding and supporting those of us who are caregivers. I feel that that is just amazing and so empowering. And then, like we had talked about earlier, Ray, the Area Agency on Aging. So this is the one specifically for Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
We have our Caregiver Action Network. They've got a lot of free online webinars, tools, videos that are great if you've got anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. Look at your employee assistance programs. So if you're an OSU employee, this is the link that you can go to for employee assistance program. There's a lot of assistance out there that we're just not aware of. So go speak to your HR representative. The Family Caregiver Alliance. This is another great organization. Lots of free materials and videos and webinars as well on their website. And the National Mental Health Association. This is their 1-800 number. Call them whenever you need to. They can assist you in helping you get as much resources as they possibly can. And then, of course, probably the easiest one to get to is your family physician. Let them know what's happening. Let them know what your concerns are, and then let them offer you assistance. So in conclusion, now that you're aware of some of the signs and symptoms of caregiver burnout and some proactive ways to take care of yourself, please remember that taking care of yourself is the greatest importance as a caregiver. Also, keep in mind that you are not alone. There's so many resources available. Like I mentioned, the Area Agency on Aging, Caregiver Action Network, along with your community support groups, your friends, and your family. So if you're already experiencing some of these signs of caregiver burnout, such as stress and depression, please do not wait. Go ahead and seek assistance as soon as possible. While caring for your loved one will never be 100% stress-free, there are ways to prevent burnout while living a balanced and fulfilled life. So be proud of yourself because you're doing the very best and you're trying your very hardest. And that deserves a congratulations and a kudos.
Well, thank you, Roseanne. These have been very helpful strategies. Thank you for being here today and sharing them with our viewers. I'm sure there are a lot of caregivers out there that are going to benefit from this. And one strategy that jumps out at me is the power of being organized and how being organized can greatly decrease the chances of a caregiver experiencing burnout. And remember, taking those needed pauses, remember to do that, those needed pauses, and including your own self-care, as Roseanne has said, and that it's absolutely necessary, right? Or it's a necessity. Is that how you I think the terminology you used is that taking care of yourself is an absolute necessity.
It is.
Yes.
Because again, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not at your peak performance to be able to take care of the one you love.